Hi, my name is Lana Geich. I'm here with the Global Network of Healers. Today we are talking to Dave Robens, and he's from Gibsons, BC in Canada. He is a life and executive coach, an occupational therapist, a group facilitator, and an open and honest dude. He also owns the Helping Hands Family Care Management Center. So a little bit more about you, Dave. Dave's a function expert. He completed his master's degree in occupational therapy many moons ago, and he has propelled his career into the coaching world to help people maximize their ability to create the life that they want. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this, and thank you for helping to heal people.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we did get to talking. I'm so glad that you decided to come on with us. And I would love to just kind of jump in. And, you know, we know people have had a really tough go of it. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. And, you know, we're watching the news. We're keeping tabs on our family, friends, etc., trying to adjust to these new routines. And can you tell me, in your own experience, what has been the toughest thing that you've personally seen over these last couple of weeks?
Thank you so much for that question. I've seen a lot of people feeling a lot of stress. It is a very unique time in most people's life experience, and the energy that's in the air is definitely vibrating, and a lot of people through the way that they think have been interpreting it as stress. So people have been really, really stressed about a couple of things, like their health, and also about money. And it's been very interesting working with people around this, because what I'm finding is that people are actually much more conscious about their health, and they're being or making decisions that are having them be a lot more healthy, and they're making healthier choices, and they're actually stretching into different ways of thinking about money and budgeting things differently and spending less. And personally, on a personal note, my first cousin, her mother-in-law actually passed away from coronavirus, and her husband is Jewish, and in the Jewish tradition, they do something called a Shiva, which is a 7-day mourning period where people generally come to see the family and take care of them. They bring them food and wisdom and company. And right now we're in a period of social distancing, so they're unable to do that. And their whole community came together in a way over Zoom. And I was blessed to be able to participate in one of the Zoom sessions. So I was meeting people from all over the world who were coming together for this common cause of supporting this gentleman who had just had his mother pass away from coronavirus. It was really a beautiful opportunity to see people coming together. So although it wouldn't be necessarily what we choose for bringing people together, it's one of the ways things have kind of spun about, related to the challenges we've all been facing with coronavirus.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Wow. People coming together in support, finding ways to connect. And Zoom, I love it. Zoom's been the savior. Thank you, Zoom.
Agreed. And, you know, a number of people from all over the United States have actually been calling them, getting in touch to try and create the same kind of platforms for their own losses.
Wow. Okay. That's really neat. Didn't know
so
that.
This thing has been turned into a real resource for other people too, to
Absolutely. And it's such a good way to connect. It is, because you get to see the person. It feels very similar. I think, you know, I'm a therapist, and so I've done counseling sessions in person. I've done them online. I see the same effectiveness. So it is interesting. It's kind of in the perceiver's mind. If you believe it's going to be weird, or you feel like it is, then you wouldn't try it. But now we're all forced to do it. So people are finding out it's not that bad. Like, it's okay. It's a good way to do it as well, if you have to. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's actually an excellent platform. And I think it's not it's going beyond if you have to. Even now, people are really taking advantage of the technology and stepping into
Totally.
connecting all over the world, right?
Absolutely. And that's it. It brings community, and the community is the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
And
beautiful.
and coronavirus is actually pointing that out to us in a way that I'm not sure anything else has, right? That
Yeah.
we're uniting the world in a very different way than we ever have before.
Yeah. I think Mother Nature is teaching a lesson here. Okay.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
connected, and it's, yeah, closer than we ever thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's band together. What about the opposite then? So you've told us the toughest thing. And I mean, and that is hard. It's hard. I mean, it's hard losing anybody, but
Yeah.
now with the social distancing, I mean, absolutely. That was one tough situation that people made this beautiful, found a way to honor and connect with each other.
Yeah.
What are some good things then that you've seen come out of what's going on right now?
I've actually seen, and I don't want to be embarrassed to admit it because of the energy that's going on around, but I've actually seen a lot of great things that have been coming out of these changes. Like great example is how communities are uniting. There's people all around the block that I live on. People are talking to each other, but from across on opposite sides of the street. There's very little traffic, so one person will stand on the other side, and you'll be talking to somebody on the other side that you've never met before.
Right.
Just talking about what's going on. How's your day? How are you managing? How's the social distancing? How's it coming for you? And that's just a small part of communities uniting. Like our grocery store, you can order online now via email. You park in their parking lot, you open your trunk, and then you get back in your car. They come and they put the stuff in your trunk for you and walk away. You come back out, you close your trunk, and away you drive. And it's just one more way that people are supporting each other. People are dropping off books. The library has created greater access online for audiobooks and all of these really incredible things that are coming to, or examples of the community coming together. I'm also finding that people are significantly more optimistic. I would say that more than half of the conversations that I'm having, people are like, I think this might be what humanity needs to bring us all closer together. Like, I think people are going to stop being trapped by buying all of this stuff that they don't need. And I actually see that people who, like these oppressive companies and CEOs that have an old mentality on the way of thinking, they're going to see how effective people can actually be working from home. So their families are going to be able to stop their hour-and-a-half commute, and that hour-and-a-half is going to be able to be dedicated to family. And those are just some of the optimistic ideas. I think more people are actually reaching out for help. Instead of trying to be stoic about things, people are motivated to be like, oh, I mean, I need some help here. I'm going to need somebody else to pick my groceries for me, and then drop them in the trunk of my car. Another great example. Initiatives like this one, or like hearts in the window. I walk around in different neighborhoods and there's all these hearts in people's windows. Another thing that's uniting communities, right? And all of those videos that I've been seeing about parking lots full of ambulances and police lights all going in support of the healthcare workers. And at 7 p.m. every day, people shouting from their balconies to support these healthcare workers. I think that there is decreased consumerism. I think people are like, oh, wait, maybe I don't need all of these things. There's a whole number of things that are going on in my community where people are like leaving big recycling bins full of leaves and writing free wipes and just putting it on the street, right? To try and get people to laugh and enjoy and maybe not go out and buy quite so much toilet paper.
Right.
So this increased family time. And as we already mentioned, like humanity uniting over a commonality. Those are just a number of the things that I've been finding to be the opposite of the challenges and actually quite inspiring and helping feed people's optimism.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I mean, you're right. There are so many examples where people that just, whatever they're good at, whatever they're already doing, they're finding ways to bring that gift out to many more people, just to share. I'm seeing so much sharing. It's incredible to me. Services, that's what they're sharing. Services, knowledge, wisdom, and helping. I mean, I just kind of look at it and I go, wow, we are so connected, and
Right.
it is wonderful.
Right. And what an inspiring time.
Exactly.
Right. I feel super inspired.
Yeah, it is very true. And I love this one. I've heard this one where there are people in certain neighborhoods that are hiding teddy bears in windows. And as little kids are walking by and walking past their houses, they're kind of trying to locate the bear. So it's this kind of nice little game that these kids throughout these neighborhoods can do while they're taking a walk outside and stretching their legs and whatnot. I thought, oh my goodness, that is so, so sweet. So
yeah.
sweet.
We're actually doing the same thing in our house. When I was recently in Australia, away from my family to do some coaching in Sydney, I bought a koala, and now we're hiding it in the house, and the kids do their treasure hunt within the house, and they get twice the prize if they collaborate to find it. So we're trying to build some teamwork between the siblings rather than just be like, okay, find the koala. But if we can build the teamwork, then, the school that they're missing, they're still learning to collaborate.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Because this is a skill you're going to need, period.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what job you do, you're going to need to use it at some point, somewhere.
Teamwork.
Yeah. Absolutely. Teamwork and communication.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. Wow. I wish I'd asked this question to every single person who I'd interviewed so far, because we could have created a document, pages and pages worth of these beautiful, inspiring things that people are creating and giving out for free, and how they're trying to help and connect. And everyone's got their own light, don't they? And they're shining it so bright. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, if we're really lucky, this interview will inspire others to do exactly that, to accumulate a list of things that they can share with their communities. Absolutely. About how to be optimistic right now.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I love it. And then, of course, like you said, bring people together. They will create much more than either one of us could have alone, ever.
Right.
So how inspiring. So speaking of putting things together, tools and resources, can you tell me what tools you've been offering to help people manage their stress during this difficult time right now?
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, the list goes on and on, because I do very tailor-made programs for people, and everybody may need different things. But if I were to kind of standardize it, I would say, my program, the programs that I create, they live in moving from a state of greater automation to greater intention. So a lot of our behaviors live in automation. Instead of responding to something, we're reacting to something. So something happens and then we react rather than respond.
Yeah.
So in a number of different things that I've done and work that I've done, I learned about this technique called STOP. And it's an acronym. Stop, take a breath, observe your thoughts and emotions, and then proceed. When I learned it, it was just observe your thoughts, but I added the emotions piece in there because I think we don't necessarily pay enough attention to our emotional state. Mm-hmm. So stop, take a breath, observe your thoughts and emotions, and then proceed. And mm-hmm. that gives us the opportunity to respond with intention rather than react in automation. Yeah. And I can offer a great example around that. Like I was always, when I was new at this and my son was very young, I would find bath time a little bit frustrating. I was working a full-time job, had 3 businesses on top of that, was trying to parent 2 children, be a good husband. I volunteered as a board member for a theater company. My dad was also in need of some care, so I was helping him. My mother was also elderly, so I was helping her. So I was living a very busy lifestyle, and I just wanted my son to have a quick bath time mm-hmm. and go to sleep. So I would say, okay, he's 2, okay? Try not to splash. I'm just gonna duck out, very little bit of water so he's not gonna drown. I'm just gonna duck out and get your bed all ready for you, and then I'll come back. And of course, when I come back, the bathroom is covered And I find myself in frustration. I don't know if anybody else has ever been frustrated with their children, but it did
Mhm.
and
I think
still
it's safe to
does
say,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah. So I would stop, take a breath. I would witness my sense of frustration, my thoughts and my emotions around the frustration. And then before I would proceed, I would choose curiosity. So instead of living in my frustration, I would choose curiosity instead.
Mhm.
And you know what that led to? Led to me not leaving the bathroom. Like, I'm curious why he would splash. I'm curious why I need to leave the bathroom. I'm curious why I'm getting frustrated about this. And after exploring all of those thoughts, I just decided I'm going to stay in the bath. I'm going to pay attention to him. I don't need to try and expedite my entire evening because it's actually just creating more work.
Right.
Just be here and now and with him. So stop. Stop is one of the techniques that I teach people. Breathing. Most of our breathing also lives in automation. I was working with a client today and she was talking to me and she was getting flustered and I went like this. And the next thing she did was,
She did it too.
right? And all of a sudden, her elevated state
Mhm.
coming down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And once she could come down a little, then she could make more intentional choices. She could reframe. Reframing, again, is one of those powers that we have, right? And when we make choices, like in that moment, instead of choosing frustration, I was choosing curiosity, we're really empowering ourselves. It's way easier to feel self-love when you're making intentional choices. Because if you're just automated reaction is frustration, afterward you start to feel a little guilty and maybe not so great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if in intention you're choosing curiosity, well, aha, I did something really well, and you kind of start to celebrate yourself because you're making intentional choices. A lot of my work is based in the work of Viktor Frankl, and he has this quote. I'm just going to look here to make sure that I get it right. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our responses lives our growth and our freedom. Right?
Goosebumps. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And that's one of the things that I've also been saying to clients when they've been coming to our sessions with stress. I say, okay, right? And I mentioned this a little bit earlier. The air is vibrating right now, but we get to choose in that moment if we're going to choose to see it as an anxious energy or as an exciting energy.
Yeah.
And that choice is always up to us, and that choice is ours in every moment. And in our automation, because we've been taught to be anxious about things, to worry about money, about anything that there could be a lack of money, lack of love, lack of water, lack of food, all of these things, we can be afraid, we can be in anxiety, or we can instead choose excitement.
Yeah. Love it. Those are 2 tips. Thank you. The stop method. It's not for other people. It's for me. Stop. Right?
Yeah.
And the second, which you kind of snuck in, which you didn't know, but I was listening, is breathe. Right? Is that breath, which is technically part of your stop technique as well. But right, you kind of you over exaggerated it too. So I suppose because that grounded her, and you're right, I see that exactly in my clients, it grounds them. So whether they're doing the stop thing, the fact that they're breathing is just on its own can bring things down. But
and
put it in the stop technique, people. Put it in the stop technique.
Thank you. And when we actually do stop, then we have those other things we can do, like intentional choices, which is another technique, and reframing, which is another technique, and empowering ourselves through choice, which is another technique, leading to the full self-love piece.
Yeah, I know, you can't help it.
You can't help
you
when
can tell you're passionate.
It's so easy to love yourself.
When you actually do.
Yes.
So you're right, it's so easy. And it's not none of that false pride or false you know,
Right.
just trying to talk yourself up. No, it's
No.
actually, and when it's deserved, I mean, it's beautiful, right? When it comes from your heart. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think some people will have a hard time with that, but really, self-love, people. If we all loved ourselves, boy, we could
Yeah.
all be free to just be who we are and not have to feel like, oh, I got to fit in, or I'm not doing this, or who am I making happy? Who's going to be upset by this? We don't think that way. When you love yourself, you
Yeah.
just know people that love me are around me, they will support me. So it makes life easy.
And one of the techniques I have for that is like, I'll say this to my daughter, for example. She's on the edge of 14. And when she's feeling a little bit angsty, happens, right?
Yeah.
I'll say, you know, I wish you could just take a moment to see yourself through my eyes, right? And
Yeah.
that it's just so helpful. I saw a healer myself a number of years ago, and she said to me, you know, you need to see yourself through God's eyes. And in that moment, that idea isn't what really stuck with me and stuck in my head, but in
Mhm.
that moment, saw myself through my mom's eyes, through my mother's eyes. And immediately I was so lovable.
Yeah.
Even with all of the mistakes that I make, all of the decisions that I made that she didn't agree with, they all didn't make me any less lovable.
Right.
So pick somebody who you know loves you, and then think about yourself through their eyes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when you were talking about your daughter, I could tell, I could sense that it was this love, this adoration, this unconditional love for her, no
Yeah,
matter how hard she's having a hard time right now.
yeah,
That's just temporary.
yeah.
It's weather. It moves, right? It's
That's right.
gonna go. Yeah. But you are wonderful. So
Thank you.
how awesome if everyone had a dad or a partner or a father, grandfather, whatever, right? How wonderful would we all be off, right?
Thank
If
you.
we had that kind of support. So I appreciate you saying that. It
Thank
is
you.
possible, all you men out there, it is possible to be emotionally available and open like this with your children. So it's a wonderful example. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's a wonderful goal for all of us to strive
All of us.
for, no matter which
Exactly.
sex we are, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're the only man coach so far. So I'm really wanting to cater to the males out there so that they
Awesome.
feel a little bit of support. But you're 100% right. This is for everybody, for all of us, in our friendships, in our relationships, with our families, right? Neighbors, we all benefit. So that's wonderful.
That's why I really like that you said open and honest dude.
Yeah, I love that. I also love how you told me to say that.
Yeah,
But it's true because I know this about you. So
yeah, yeah.
oh, that's awesome. So what are more positives then that are coming out of all of this? Can you tell me about that a little bit? Kind of your
Yeah,
thoughts about it?
sure. I mean, I think this is a great opportunity for humanity to refocus, like for us to think about things in a totally different way, like
Yeah.
start moving into greater personal responsibility, which is something that we can do through the stop technique and through responding to a stimulus rather than reacting to it. A deeper understanding of our choices, all of the choices that we have to make. Like people, when they get triggered into frustration, right back to the story that I had about my son, we get triggered into frustration, we don't recognize that even in that very moment, we have a choice to
Mhm.
choose something else other than that frustration. It's just the frustration feels so strong that it doesn't feel like we could literally just choose something else. But in every moment, we have that choice. I'll give you a great example around that. My wife, we had just bought a tree, and we put the tree in the back of the truck, and we were driving through a parking lot that had speed bumps, and we went over a speed bump, and uh, the car jostled, and the tree jostled, and my wife said to me, "Be careful of the tree." And immediately I was triggered right back to my teenage years with my parents saying, "Hey, use your head, buddy." And my response to her was like, "Yeah, I get it." And then I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm sorry.
Redo, yeah.
We actually have the exact same goal here. And the goal is to get the tree back to the house in one piece.
Yeah.
So I was just transported right back to my teenage years where I felt like I had to defend myself for no good reason.
Right.
And that habit popped back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And I can choose a different response in this moment and take greater personal responsibility for my reaction. Mm-hmm. So I think those are a couple of things for refocusing for humanity. Prioritizing family over income. Mm-hmm. Like we are so financially focused, as so many people are throughout the economically developed world. I spent a year living in Bali, as I had mentioned to you on another occasion, and it was very, very different there. It was much more family focused and less financially focused. And you could see the beauty of the connections between the people. Giant smiles, very little, if any, depression, very little, if any, anxiety. In fact, I never asked anybody, even though I lived there for quite a long time, whether there's a word for efficiency in Balinese, because I never witnessed efficiency there. It was all just about, oh, this is what I'm doing with my time now. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about getting something done to get to what's next. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So prioritizing family over income, decreased unnecessary spending. Mm-hmm. Right? Like even I'm very conscious of that, but I unnecessarily spend too. Like I'll go out and I'll buy, oh, you know what? I have 3 sets of good working headphones for my that work for my laptop, but you know, they have a wire. They have a wire. Yeah. And then I'm connected to this machine by a wire. Ugh. Or maybe like the past 44 years of my life, where I've been, even with my Sony Walkmans or my Sony Discmans, I always had a wire. There was a wire. Why do I need to not have a wire? And not to judge anybody who's choosing to not have wires. I see the benefit. Right. But I'm talking about decreasing our unnecessary spending. Yeah. Seeing the value in unification, right? Unifying ourselves as a species, or maybe even, may I be so bold, as earthlings. Ooh, unifying. Yeah. Unifying instead of finding and fearing difference, right? Celebrating similarity. Mm-hmm.
That's what a concept, right?
Celebrating similarity. There's this great book. I run a men's personal development and self-awareness education program, and I do it in groups. And I have 3 different courses within that program. And in the first course, I assign a book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And the last chapter in A New Earth is called Acceptance, Enjoyment, Enthusiasm. But I've added to those things intolerance and tolerance. And I see those 5 things as the way that we can actually interpret anything that is ever happening to us. We can interpret it through a lens of intolerance, tolerance, acceptance, enjoyment, enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty miraculous that somebody can be sitting in intolerance, and just through a conversation that I'll have with them, they'll be enthusiastic about it in the end. And like one of my clients, he had recently lost his father-in-law and his brother to cancer. And he came in and he was like, I'm going to invest in, Dave, I got to tell you about this. I'm going to invest in this shirt. It's a campaign for supporting cancer research. And you buy the shirt and it says FUCK cancer. It says that right across the shirt. And I was like, that sounds like an incredible investment. Can you do me a favor? Can you just, before you make that investment, can you just tell me why you love cancer? And he said, have you not been listening to me? And I said, my friend, how long have we been working together? He said, 3 years. I said, have I ever not listen to you. He said, oh. I said, tell me why you love cancer. And we sat in silence for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know how silence for 30 seconds can get awkward. We just sat there and I watched him. He was like, and around the 10-minute mark, all of a sudden, this unbelievable relief came to his face. And he even kind of laughed a little bit under his breath. I said, okay, what have you come up with? He said, I am determined to live an inspired and inspirational life. I am determined to do all of the things my brother wasn't able to do. I'm going to live the life that my brother couldn't. I said, and how about your father-in-law? He said, well, my father-in-law was like, he was a very closed off guy, struggled to build relationships, even alienated people until his cancer diagnosis. Mm. And then he built community, incredible community. And his daughter, my wife, ended up having a beautiful relationship with him that she couldn't have before his diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, there, 2 reasons. And when I went back to speak with him a week later, he had 3 more reasons.
Lovely. Oh my goodness.
It's not the easiest place for us to go to. Mm-hmm. But with a little help, we can move from this place where of trauma or hurt or upset or anger mm-hmm. or intolerance to a place of enthusiasm and celebration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a wonderful example because it is all in how you look at it. Yes. And life is about duality, isn't it?
Yes.
You can look at one and one might come easier to us.
Oh, yeah.
But if you look hard enough, you will see the other.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
What an honor it has been. Thank you so much for all your wisdom, for sharing your, I love the conversation when you talk to me about all the good things you've seen about how people are coming together through this hard time.
Me too. Thanks for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to let people know that you are willing to do a 90-minute free coaching session. If anyone's interested in, uncovering some of that duality aspect or learning about the stop technique and getting some feedback on that, asking Dave some questions. So we will post all the information in the Facebook post, but thank you so much for joining us, Dave. I appreciate your time.
Oh, an absolute pleasure. Thank you for this incredible opportunity. And I hope that our conversation helps you to fulfill your goal and mission to create a more sustainable humanity and one that can really see the world through an optimistic lens.
Yes, exactly. Decrease stress, increase our vibrational energy.
Yeah.
And our connection. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Right on. Thank you.